too.
Hi, I am Nikki Flowers. I work with Volunteers of America. I am here in the Cody office. I'm just going to go over a little bit of what Volunteers of America offers. My specific program, which is veteran-driven, and just give you some basic information so that you have the resources if you know of anybody in our community that could benefit. So we believe that every veteran deserves dignity and respect. And our Veteran Services Program, we are dedicated to addressing the diverse needs of our veteran population. And we're here to give a hand up rather than a handout. So our program that I am part of here in Cody is we house homeless veterans, or we help with homeless prevention. So if you have a veteran that has hit hard times, like everybody is starting to with the economy and everything, if they get behind on their rent or their mortgage, or they are at risk of losing their home, they can be directed to us and we can help them. And yes, it is veteran only for my program. There are other programs within the VOA through Sheridan. I'm a offshoot of our Sheridan branch, but there's separate grants that fund separate things. Welcome to the federal funding. So we try to, we give the commitment like President Lincoln said, that who shall have borne the battle? We want to take care of our veterans. We want to keep them housed. So let's say you know a veteran that has been down on their luck and they're behind on their rent and they've been given an eviction notice and they don't know what to do. We can get them in the program, especially, we even help those that were discharged from the military with other than honorable. You can, as long as you served 1 day on active duty and you were discharged with anything but dishonorable, we can help. So if it says dishonorable, sorry, but anything other than, we can help. And they can qualify for up to 6 to 9 months of like full rent paid. The goal is to have them graduate into paying a little bit at a time. There is a contract, it states everything that's done. They work directly with a case manager to try and get their finances under control, just a check-in on a weekly basis. As you know, I'm sure you all have heard that suicide within veterans is very high. They like to also self-isolate, and veterans don't like asking for help. It's a struggle. So, and Cody also doesn't have a homeless population per se, but a lot of us may or may not know someone that has done some couch surfing, or I'm gonna stay in my truck on the back 20, or, you know, that's still homeless. I mean, if you don't have your name on a lease necessarily, you could qualify as homeless. So we have so many options. And also within that 6 to 9 month program, if you're getting on your feet, but you're still rent burdened, especially around here, rent is so expensive. And if our veterans are on a limited income, they aren't going to be able to afford a $1,200 rent payment, especially if they're getting their Social Security and it's $1,200. Or, I mean, that just doesn't make sense. So then they can graduate into a program that's a little more hands-off, but you can be in it for up to 2 years, where we help with a percentage of rent. And that program is still under the veterans umbrella. It's just called shallow. So you just got to the shallow end so that you're not needing that life draft anymore. So that's part of what that does. So we just try to make sure that we want all of our veterans to be housed and protected, especially in the winter months. That's when it's the hardest. I'm currently working with someone who, he has a trailer he hauls around behind on his pickup over in the Bighorn Mountains, and he stays at the free campgrounds, but you can only stay there for 14 days. And then the parks close and they aren't allowed to stay there. And then what do you do? So we're working with him to try and get him a permanent location to park his trailer. so as he can get up on his feet. So there's options for so many things. And most all of us know at least one veteran, so just spreading the word is so beneficial. And if you know of anyone and you don't even know the parameters, send them to my office, because I'm there Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. I take a lunch, but I also will have office hours in Sheridan. So we have so many more options over in Sheridan as well. Speaking of that, we have transitional housing over there, where if they were coming out of, we have Independence Hall and Booth Hall. In the folders I have on the table, there's some flyers and stuff. I didn't make enough for everyone, but I thought if you wanted to take a look at it. Where did it go? I had it somewhere. I lost my place. Oh, there it is. Independence Hall is in Billings and Freedom Hall is in Sheridan. And these are like, they provide supportive environments. So it's kind of, they get their own rooms. Some of them they share a room. It's kind of like a barracks, essentially, where they stay. It's a communal bathroom. They cook dinners together. There's a separate kitchen. It's just trying to get them on their feet so that they are experiencing, shall I say, I can relate to this because mine's 22, adulting again. You have to experience adulting when you get back up on your feet and getting your feet under you and figuring out how life is going to work in this new normal. So we have those places, and then we can help them transition out of that into their own housing where they sign a lease and they can see if they can do it. Sometimes if they need a little bit more help, we can get more hands-on. All of this is paid for through the grant. So we have monies set up specifically for this. Also, while they're in our program, we have a SOAR coordinator is what they're called, and they help with like filing for more health care, or if they're service connected through the VA, if they were injured in the line of duty, or they had hearing loss, we can help them file for those claims so that they can increase their income, which in turn helps with housing stability. So we try to run all of that through it. We also have a healthcare navigator. Let's say that they don't have VA healthcare, or they don't have any sort of healthcare at all, and they qualify for Medicaid or Medicare. We help process through some of that stuff. So that is the basics of the veteran program. VOA as a whole also has a treatment program that doesn't necessarily just fall for veterans. It's for anyone, for individuals, families, and communities. It's a campus, and it's at the base of the Bighorn Mountains, and that's in there too. I am not knowledgeable on that because that isn't my, oops, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm not schooled in that because that's not my department. I'm very veteran-centric. But there's social detox, there's primary treatment, and again, transitional housing. You have to be at least 18. And so a lot of these things, they just get help. And that's the biggest thing. If they're actually at a point where they're ready to get help, it's wonderful. And there's 3 main questions as a veteran to see if you qualify. Were you a veteran with at least 1 day of federal active duty? So our Army National Guard guys, they do not qualify unless they were called to action and they received a DD-214 that said they had at least 1 day of active service. That's a struggle that we have with a lot of our National Guard guys. The next one is if you are facing a threat of homelessness. So again, you prove that you're behind on your rent. You can show us that the landlord has messaged you that, hey, you need to pay 3 days or get out. I mean, anything like that. There's a different process. They could start the legal process of evicting someone, but if your landlord says you need to do this or else, that's a threat of homelessness. And then there's also income guidelines, and that's based on the HUD percentages, but they're huge. I could qualify. And so, I mean, it's any of us in here, I'm sure, could qualify. There's a 30% range, 30 below, 30 to 50%, and an 80%. If you're over 80%, you're not going to qualify. But we have limited and some limited resources that we can help those that do fall in the less than 80% category. So it's just an amazing program, and I wish I had known about it. Some of you know, I myself am a veteran. I was a Navy veteran. I'm very passionate about helping our veterans, and it's something that they just don't get enough, especially when they're in a hard place. And the resources they're not nearly enough, but when you have someone that's in a bad place that's really wanting to get on their feet, we can do it. And surprisingly enough, obviously this building has been there, not necessarily with someone in it, for many years, but there are cases in Cody where our case managers come over from Sheridan and they work with veterans. So when I was working at the Workforce Center, one of those veterans they were helping came into my office, and I watched the whole progression from when he ended up immediately homeless to them helping him. He got on his feet, and then he graduated the program, and then I got to help him with employment. So it was a beautiful circle, and it worked like it was supposed to. So, and I know some of them don't necessarily want to be helped, but when it's 30 below and you're in your truck, you're gonna want some help, I'm hoping. So, does anybody have any questions for me? I just want you to tell at least one person about us so that they can spread the good message of VOA.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely.